Welcome to the Explainer. If you've ever felt that pain of managing just countless versions of your software for different customers, you know exactly how fast things can spiral out of control. Well, today, we're going to break down a really powerful architectural approach that solves this. It lets you create many different products from a single stable code base.
Okay, so let's dive right in by looking at a problem that I'm sure hits pretty close to home for a lot of development teams out there: the absolute pain of trying to do customization at scale. Does this whole scene look familiar? You're trying to manage all these unique versions of your product for different customers, or maybe different regions or big enterprise clients, and it just feels like you're constantly fighting this rising tide of complexity. You're basically drowning.
Yeah, as our products get more successful, we tend to reach for the same old tricks, right? We fork the code or we start burying our logic in these super complex if this, then that statements. But these are just short-term fixes. And as you can see here, they inevitably lead to this tangled, high-risk system that is an absolute nightmare to maintain.
I'm talking about things like forking an entire code base for just one big client. And then, of course, it immediately starts to drift from the main version. Or maybe you're maintaining dozens of slightly different deployments. And my all-time favorite, burying your beautiful code in an ocean of if-else logic. It doesn't scale. It can't.
And this brings us to the most crucial point. The need for all this variation isn't actually the problem. I mean, that's a great sign. It means you're successful. The real problem is how we've been building it. We've been weaving that variation directly into the fabric of our code. And that's what makes the whole system so brittle and so hard to change.
But what if there was a better way, right? What if we could actually design our applications from day one to naturally support all these different variants without all the chaos? This gives us the perfect analogy for the solution. It's a prism. I want you to think of your core software as a single, pure beam of light. A multivariant application, or an MVA, it acts just like this prism. It takes that one stable code base and refracts it into a whole spectrum of unique products and experiences.
So what is an MVA, really? Well, it's an architecture where you build the application just one time, but it can act like many different apps. And the secret sauce is separating that stable core code from all the variations. You handle all those changes using external instructions, things like configuration files and simple on-off switches we call feature flags.
Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? It all comes down to a really elegant and, frankly, powerful three-layer architecture. This whole MVA strategy breaks down into three distinct layers. So first, you've got your foundation. That's the generic, configuration-driven codebase. Then, the second layer handles what we call build time variants, which are kind of like different versions you can package up for specific needs. And then the third layer, the most dynamic one, is runtime, which customizes the experience for every single user on the fly.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the shift in mindset. You see, on the left, that's the old way. We're asking the code, hey, which customer is this? Which leads to all that brittle logic. But on the right, the MVA way, the code asks much more generic questions like, is this feature turned on, or which theme should I be using? All the specifics are handled by configuration, not by the code itself.
Now, layer 2. These build time variants, you can think of it like a factory assembly line. You can take your single source code and produce different, highly optimized builds for very specific purposes. Say, a version for the US market, another for the EU with different compliance rules, or maybe even a lightweight demo version. It's all coming from the same source.
And then, this is where the real magic happens. At runtime, the exact same deployed application can completely change its look, its feel, its behavior based on who the user is or their region or even just the web domain they're visiting. And here's the best part. No redeploys, no code changes. It is all completely dynamic.
I know this might still feel a little bit abstract, so to make it way more concrete, let's look at a fantastic real-world example of this in action.
So, imagine a really big matrimony platform. Instead of building dozens of separate websites and apps for all the different states, languages, or religions they serve, they can use just one core platform. That's one backend, one front end, one infrastructure, powering every single one of those unique portals.
And here is the absolute game changer. With an architecture like this, launching a brand new community portal, it's not a months-long engineering project anymore. It becomes as simple as just defining a new configuration. We are talking about something that can literally take minutes.
So let's talk about the payoff. I mean, what are the truly transformative benefits you get when you adopt this kind of architecture? Why does this really matter?
The benefits here are just huge. You get to maintain one clean, simple code base while creating what is essentially an infinite number of products. Your speed to market gets drastically faster. Your changes become way safer because they're decoupled from risky code deployments, and ultimately, yeah, it lowers your costs, it lowers your risk, and, this is a big one, it actually democratizes the whole process, allowing way more people on the team to contribute.
I absolutely love this analogy. Your engineers build the powerful engine, they build the car, but now your product teams, your growth teams, your operations teams, they can all get in the driver's seat. They can safely launch and manage all these variants themselves without ever needing to write a single line of code.
Now, of course, once you empower everyone to drive the car, you need a safe and reliable dashboard to manage everything. Managing all these different configurations at scale requires a whole new class of tool, a dedicated control plane designed for this exact purpose.
And this is exactly where a platform like ConfigBee fits in. It acts as the brain, the variant management layer that sits between your complex codebase and all your users. It handles all the contextual targeting, it makes sure your configurations are valid, and it gives you safe, instant rollbacks if anything goes wrong.
Ultimately, this represents a really fundamental shift in how we think about building software. The goal is no longer just to ship more code. It's about shipping capabilities, and then letting smart, safe configuration do all the heavy lifting of composing these unique experiences for your users.
This is a truly powerful way to build and scale modern applications. To go deeper and read the full article that inspired this explainer, you should definitely visit the ConfigBee blog at configbee.com. Thanks so much for watching, and ask yourself this: where in your own software could you stop shipping code and start shipping capabilities?